The Influencer's Edge is brought to you by the Rapid Sales Accelerator. If you're ready to skyrocket your sales by 30% or more in just 90 days, then you need to claim your free training right now. You'll learn 4 words that will compel your prospects to trust you like they were children within the first 3 to 5 minutes of any conversation across any platform and any medium. You'll learn how to give your prospects objection amnesia, to crush objections like, I need to talk to my spouse, or I need more time to think it over, or it's too expensive. And finally, you'll get a free recorded audio training that will install unbelievable attitudes for success and wipe out any limiting beliefs. So if you'd like to claim your free training now, go to www.paulrossbook.com. Do it before your competition does it now. Welcome to the Influencer's Edge. This is the place where you come to get the latest breakthroughs, cutting-edge insights, tools, and techniques to leapfrog over the pack in sales, persuasion, and influence. Be sure you visit our website at www.theinfluencersedge.com. And while you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now sit back, tune in, and enjoy today's episode. Welcome back to the Influencer's Edge. Today, I am honored to have our guest, and I'll tell you why. His name is Jim Lutes. Jim is someone who's a personal friend of mine. We go back a lot of years, Jim, a lot of years. And not only is he my friend, but he's one of the few people in the hypnosis world. You all know that I'm a hypnotist with lots of experience. He's one of the very few people in the hypnosis world that I can honestly look eye to eye and consider to be a peer. But not only that, someone who can do things that I cannot do. You could probably train me to do it in 6 months or maybe less. I don't know. But Jim can do things that I've never seen anyone in the hypnosis world be able to do. And that is a big statement because I've been around for a long time in this. Jim, welcome, and thank you for honoring me.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on here. And it was good to see you at an event, not too long ago. So yeah, we go back a long time, and thank you for your kindness of having me on here.
Okay, I just want to say a few things. This is your bio. We won't, it's a very short one. Jim Lutes has been considered by many to be one of the foremost mind experts. I'm one of them in the world. I mean, I'm one of the people considering that in the world with over 30 years experience in all facets of the human mind. I want to stop you right there, Jim. 30 years is a long time. I'm not going to ask what got you into it because everyone asks you that. I'm going to ask you something different. 30 years of doing something that you're still passionate about, and I know you are. I've watched you in action. How have you stayed so invested and so passionate about this after 30 years of doing it?
Rolling Stones and Aerosmith. So I consider any entrepreneur a form of an artist, and artists don't retire because they're always in a progressive, creative gratification and diversification mode. So under our umbrella, you and I, everything we do, we have the ability to pivot. We have the ability to create, but still stay in our lane and still stay, we're not, doing something that isn't in our lane. So, and I think every musician has it too. I know you have it and I have it. We're a little bit OCD, My library is, 80% something to do with the modalities of the mind, so there's not a lot of novels in there. And so I think it's just that progression. And then I think there's a gratification. I could sell water bottles and there'd be an gratification, but the emotional gratification wouldn't be there.
And you're actually, ladies and gentlemen, when Jim says he can sell water bottles, he absolutely could. Now, you use your powers for good, but I happen to know you can sell water bottles to people who are living in a reservoir. You're just that good. Just a couple of more things. You've worked with Fortune 500 companies and packed audiences. You bring a wealth of unique strategies and insights to the space. So I want to talk to you. Everyone says, how do you get in? How did you get into the industry? What was your?
I'll be very concise so we can, cover lots of topics. I used to play in heavy metal bands in Southern California, in San Diego, and LA. And then when I discovered I wasn't going to be the next Motley Crue or Guns N' Roses, I decided, I cut my hair and decided, what's next there, Jimmy boy? And I went to a party at a bar, and there was a hypnotist, and I had been reading psycho-cybernetics, magical believing, science, rich, think and grow rich. All of that genre I was really fascinated. And he kept mentioning the subconscious mind before he made the girl sing or stuck her to the wall or whatever he was doing in entertainment aspect at that birthday party. And I said, that's it. He caught me at that window period where I was indecisive what I was going to do. And I've always been fascinated when I saw it in front of me. I said, that's it. And so then I asked him who teaches it. He told me who's the best in the world at that point. And he referenced that individual, and off I
went. Who was that? Who was that?
A gentleman by the name of Gil Boyne in Los Angeles.
Of course, Gil Boyne. He founded.
So I met Gil, and I said, Gil, I'm your private student. He goes, I don't take private students. And I said, I was 27, 28. And I said, well, obviously, your hearing is going, because I just said, I'm your new private student. You can go through my classes. I go, I'll go through your classes, but I want to learn from you. And he liked that. Ironically, at that point, he kind of had that same, cocky kind of personality. And so he goes, will you drive up here for 6 months every weekend? I go, yeah, absolutely. And so I went through his classes. Then he kind of took me under his wing, and then he said something. He said, Jim, you're a natural at hypnosis. And I said, well, thank you very much. Coming from you, that means a lot. He goes, but you suck. I go, what do you mean I suck? And he goes, you haven't done 1,000 people yet. Introvert, extrovert, old, young, male, female, left brain, right brain, child, and adult. I go, okay, fair enough. So I was packing people into the Carlsbad timeshare and went in there and fell flat on my face a few times till till I figured out the pre-frame and the cadence and the, tonalities. And so it's like playing the guitar. Most people that buy a guitar, it's under their bed.
Yes.
We got frustrated.
Yes. And in fact, I remember Dan Kennedy said this, and we all know who Dan is, the OG of marketing. Dan said, for infomercials, they used to have infomercials, ladies and gentlemen, for exercise equipment. There was the shake weight, which made its own, which is still ridiculed to this day. Suzanne Summers, Thigh Master, whatever it was. Yeah. And Dan said for it to be a bestseller, it had to be able to be easily folded and put under the bed.
Yeah, brilliant language right there, 100%. And it never again will it come out from under the bed in 80% of the cases.
Now, you've talked to Fortune 500 companies. When you go into these companies, is there any resistance from people who think that hypnosis is unethical or taking control of other people? And if so, how do you?
There used to be. Now you've got Mike Tyson on YouTube saying that he attributes his world championship to being hypnotized. Matt Damon has a private hypnotist, Adele, so it's much more mainstream, but I do stay away from that word depending on the company. And I'll just go more into subconscious. Working with the subconscious seems to have less of a pushback because they never went to a subconscious show at the county fair. They went to a hypnosis show at the county fair. So I might just, buffer the language a little bit. The way I get into the companies is I focus on something called human capital. And I say, listen, with the integration of AI and technology and before AI, you guys are focused on the progression of technological intervention or integration into your company. You forgot about little Angie. You forgot about little Matt. Your human capital that costs you more to retrain than retain. And so they go, wow. And so imagine you increase the productivity of little Angie by 20% because she now knows how to deal with her anxiety. She knows how to deal with her intercommunication within her relationships. That collective sum of all parts has a direct effect on your bottom line in the company. So if you approach it that way as them investing, then they get a cumulative appreciation from the employees, but they get a calculable economic return because the person's not sitting, putting the parts together, freaking out about their divorce as much.
That makes a tremendous amount of sense to frame. It's that pre-frame is sort of like the pre-frame you do when you're going to sit and do trance. You have to frame it in a way where the person sees the experience. Well, you tell us. I want to know your idea of what a pre-frame is. This is going to get into the discussion of hypnosis, but I don't give a fuck. It's my show, and I'm fascinated by how you do it. So if someone comes to you because you're a premier hypnotist, a star hypnotist, someone comes to you in San Diego, or I don't know if you even see clients face to face anymore, or if you do it over, how do you see clients? How is it?
No, actually, I don't. The only private clients I do are persuasion influence training as it applies to, the speaking industry or some interaction in the real estate industry. In terms of the therapeutics, no, I did it for years, but I don't do that as much anymore. But the pre-frame, part of it is, as is just dispelling the myths of hypnosis. So you have a collective level of comfortability. No skeletons are coming out of the closet. You're not going to freak out. You're not going to pass out. You're not going to be afraid. You can't wake up. So once you get rid of all that's pre-talk more than it is pre-frame, then the pre-frame operates under, what is expected tends to be realized. Every suggestion accepted creates less opposition to every successive suggestion.
Yes.
And so scoot your chair up a little bit. Boom. Can you hand me that pencil over there? So you're starting to get a conscious compliance that, as you know, is not different than conventional sales in yes setting, but now you're getting them involved in a compliance with you. And then you're doing single binds, double binds to get them to connect that experience to something they're already experiencing.
Let's unpack it, because I watched you in action at one of your events talking about applying this kind of thing to selling from the stage. And so let's talk a little bit about how you would adapt hypnotic techniques to sell from the stage, because I've seen you do it. You're really good. I almost bought your program or asked you to let me in for free, but if you're smart, you don't give away stuff for free, even to friends.
So I take referrals. So
okay, all right, I'll refer you. Talk about this application for sales from the stage.
Yeah. Well, $1 million speakers persuade and influence. Struggling speakers teach because they're self-enamored with teaching. All you have to do is Google teacher's salary, and that's what you're going to be making, which isn't that impressive. I don't care if you're teaching. Let's take biology. Okay, the guy knows meiosis and mitosis really well. Cell division, blood plasma. Nobody ever left a biology class wanting to buy anything. They said buy, but he knew his content like smoke on. So a lot of the other people will do that as well. Selling from the stage has an architecture that starts out, without going through the whole templated thing, starts out with grabbing their attention, especially more these days than ever before, because they're staring at, these things. So they're scattered. They're all over the place, right? So grabbing their attention can be done in, a few different ways. You can be funny. You can tell a story. You can do a demonstration. Probably the most effective of the three is a demonstration, because it requires them looking at you, and selling from the stage requires them looking at you because of your mannerisms, but also listening to you as well. So you'll move through a progression where you're using phonological ambiguities. You know what those are, using embedded commands, you're using stage anchoring, kinesthetic anchoring. So for instance, to give your audience an example, if I were saying something, so to the effect of, it's great to be here with all of you right now. I know what it's like to sit over there. I was in a seminar, not unlike this one, and I was sitting where that woman in the red dress was over there. And she's sitting there like you are, looking at the man on stage and wondering, if he's a man of integrity or not. And boom. So when I said integrity.
I love it. I caught it. You pointed to yourself.
You're looking through a different lens than most people.
Yeah. Arthur C. Clarke, one of my favorite science fiction writers, who wrote 2001: A Space Odyssey, said any sufficiently developed technology is indistinguishable from magic. And I've watched what you do, and people who don't, I understand the principles, so I can see what you're doing, but people who don't understand the principles, they will never catch it. For those of you who are concerned, will I get caught if I use hypnotic or subconscious influence techniques in my sales presentations? If you have any degree of subtlety, you're not going to get caught. Have you ever been caught using this stuff?
But like you've done it thousands of times, and so have I. So you can practice it, on your dog. You can practice it just by yourself until you get the fluidity down, and tonality. Tonality embedded commands. It takes a little practice to get it fluid. Like for instance, if I was telling a story about a friend of mine, Manny, that came out from Virginia, and he'd never been to San Diego, and is after COVID. And so he goes, I want to go have a craft beer because this is the craft beer capital of the world. There's 150 breweries. I go, okay. He goes, let's go to one you've never gone to. I go, that's not a problem. Easy. So we went over to one, and the guy came up, the bartender guy, right? I used the instant rapport technique on him, which I'll go over in a second if you want to. But I went ahead and used that on him to grab rapport. I only had a second. And then I just said, hey, listen, it's so good. COVID's not around anymore. And, it's happy to be out with a good friend and feel free again. And he would just want to go out and have a beer. And so when we went out, I didn't really care where we went. For me, I just wanted to show Manny around San Diego. Boom. That right there was a story-based embedded tonality command statement that was preempted by a fast rapport building technique, which developed know, like, and trust in a split second. And then the embedded tonality command, you can go up or down, as you know, but your audience not. You can go up or down as long as you embed it in a different tonality, so the subconscious hears in a different tonality. So that little story that was engaging him while he was standing there, the embedded command was free beer for me. And he bought my next beer because the context of the delivery of the word is not in the context of the story.
Naughty boy, I've used this to get free parking on a date, and the date was astonished. Then I got something free at the end of the night too, but we won't go into that. Maybe we will.
Well, I'm sure her other customers paid.
Yes. Jim, I want to talk about, this is something that you shared with me because we are friends. You went through a serious health challenge, and you healed yourself using what you call, please repeat it, psycho.
Well, it was in addition to allopathic and alternative protocols, but I don't think the end game would have been the same if I didn't integrate psychoneuroimmunology into it. So
psychoneuroimmunology. Please talk about your story if you don't mind.
Sure. I mean, I'm the guy that works out all the time. I'm the guy that takes vitamins. I'm the guy that doesn't smoke. I'm the guy that drinks very little. I'm the guy that, drinks spinach juice. I'm the guy, the epitome of somebody that nothing should happen to. Woke up, fast story, woke up, had a weird thing and feeling in the back of my head. Couldn't find out what was wrong. They said it's stress, not stress. Turns out I had a rare condition that they couldn't fix. And the only, they could, but the only intervention was risky brain surgery. Who, me? 50-50 chance of survival. The only guy that could do it was in Pittsburgh, packed a bag, went to Pittsburgh. Boom. They cut my head open, glued me back together. I'm Frankenstein. I'm good to go. Then I went back to San Diego. 6 weeks later, I had a massive heart attack and fell over right over here, dead. On the thing, they picked me up. The ambulance.
Wait, pause button, Jim. Yeah. You were like clinically dead?
Well, yeah, for like a second. But I was having a massive heart attack called a STIMI, which is the worst kind. And it was like, but I had a friend over there. And so had he not been there, I wouldn't be here right now. So boom, thanks to him again. But, he called them and I was just going down and out. So when they came there, they didn't use the paddles. They just did this anyway. So I popped back to life. They took me over to UCSD Medical Center. I had emergency heart surgery. So I had brain surgery, a heart attack, and heart surgery all within 6 weeks. Wow. And I figured I'd get it all out of the way at one time. So finally, and I'm not going to go on with the story, but I'm in this cardio rehab thing. And this guy's on the left, he's going, did you storm the beaches of Normandy too? Go, no, I didn't storm. What the hell am I even doing here? So way too young for all that shit to happen. But so now, I went through whatever they just, asked me to do. And so then I said, okay, maybe it's time for you to apply your own mind-body medicine, which is what psychoneuroimmunology is. So I began to do self-hypnosis 2 hours a day, an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening, allowing my body to expedite the healing, the mind-body connection. If you go to a doctor, which I don't like going to a doctor, but if you go to a doctor,
me too,
and you have an ulcer, a regular doctor, medical doctor, you have an ulcer, what's he going to attribute it to?
Stress.
That's right. But stress is the mind. So there's a physiological response of a sore in the stomach caused by the mind. Whether he believes in hypnosis or not, he just gave you a practical example as a normal medical doctor that the mind is creating a physiological structural change in the body.
Right. Right. And it's very interesting, Jim. Placebo effect. People often say, well, that's just the placebo effect. Hypnosis is the placebo effect. And my response is, explain to me how the placebo effect works. You know, with Rogaine, the thing that grows hair back, something around 2% of the people who were given the placebo grew hair. So something is going on with the mind and the body, where the mind, if it's properly trained and properly influenced by someone who knows what they're doing, can do pretty near freaking miraculous shit.
Well, you know, as I do, being expert in hypnosis industry, that, you know, what is expected tends to be realized. And so at some of my events, I'll have like a woman or a guy come up in front, and I'll say, take the microphone, and I want you to say the following words in front of the audience. I have cancer, I have cancer, I have cancer, I have cancer, I have cancer. I want you to say that 20 times. And in, 26 years, nobody's done it. And I say, why aren't you going to say that? They go, I'm not going to say that. Why? I might get it. Yeah, but you go, you say, I'm broke, I can't pay my bills. I'm broke, I can't pay my bills. I can't find love. I'm lonely. Either words have power or they don't. You can't selectively apply them. So you can say I have cancer and you're not going to get it, right? No, I might. Well, you can say I'm broke. What's going to happen now? So they're not understanding the interchange between the mind and their reality, and the interconnectivity between whatever you want to call it, superconscious, quantum field, whatever their beliefs are. They deny it when they're scared, but they do it unconsciously all the time by just repeating over and over and over and over, whether it be money, whether it be relationships, love, health, finances.
Very interesting to me that words, and I'm sure you would agree, because I teach how to use language to open up your prospect's subconscious mind and then get them to reach their own decision to buy, make it seem like it's their own decision. Hence my book, The Subconscious Sales Advantage, which you can download by scanning that QR code. I'm a modern kid. I know how to do technology now.
Yeah, me, bro, I'd be using the other hand. So you're much good.
Well, I just figured it out now, just sitting here thinking about it. You know, when it comes to words have tremendous power. You mentioned the negative suggestions that I'm not even going to say it. I have blank, I have blank, I have blank. But I had the experience of having a dear friend at the time and she was diagnosed with glioblastoma. It's a form of brain cancer that I think maybe has a survival rate of 2 months for 98% of the people. I'm just saying and I said to her, the first moment I walked into the room, I said, you're not a diagnosis. You're not a statistic. Do you understand? With a little bit of a harshness to my voice to get her attention. She said, yes. And it's interesting because later on, maybe 3 weeks later, I was doing some research for her. And I said, there's something called the gamma knife. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I am not offering medical advice, but I'm just saying what I said to her. For this, and it really is effective for a lot of people who have your kind of cancer. And she said, Paul, I don't have cancer. I'm having the cancer experience. And I thought, wow, wonderful reframe. And then she added, and I'm in my process of my body healing completely. Mm-hmm. And I thought, what a freaking great way to reframe it. What do you think about how she did it?
Well, absolutely. Because as you know, the language creates imagery, and imagery creates emotion. And so a thought is simply a spark, and then it depends on if you're going to go ahead and extinguish it or pour gasoline on it and turn it into an inferno. So, I know that when I was doing private clients, years ago, La Jolla back when hypnosis was, the voodoo, the La Jolla Institute of Dermatology would send me clients. And they go, don't tell anyone, we're sending you to this guy in Del Mar. And so they would send for, like, the guy would have warts on his arm and they were spreading. And so they would come to me, 3 sessions gone, perfect skin. And the way that worked is because he's emotionalizing, I want these to go away. I want these to go away. They're pissing me off. So he's emotionalizing these. Every time he says the word these, he pictures the warts. So the subconscious says, oh, you want warts. I mean, you're getting an emotionalized visual. I'll give you more of those. So it was very simple. You drop them into somnambulistic hypnosis, or not even, it's hypnoidal, it's fine. And then you have
one thing, pause button, because my audience is not going to know what somnambulistic means. Can you unpack that for us, please?
Yeah, it's a very deep level of hypnosis. Somnambulism is actually sleepwalking.
Cool.
So really, somebody's sleepwalking, they're actually in a state of somnambulation, very deep hypnosis, not required. Hypnoidal is the very light hypnosis, which is just as effective for smoking or weight loss or, the warts thing. But he kept emotionalizing, I want these to go away. And the subconscious is a computer, as you know. It just said, oh, you're picturing these things, you're emotionalizing, well, let's give you more of them.
I had a co-trainer many years ago, very talented, not a nice person. I think there seems to be a correlation of people in the hypnosis sales field in general, who tend to be very gifted, but they're not particularly nice people. I can say that you're a good human. Thank goodness you use your powers for good. And my thought about this is how sales is suggestion. It really is. Sales and suggestion are so very, are you taking a picture of us? Hello. Sales and suggestion are so very, very related, because if someone is going to buy your product, your service, they have to, on some level, visualize the benefits of doing so. And it really is a form of, it's a hypnotic phenomenon. They may not be holding their arm rigid in the air. They may not be doing anything like that. But in effect, they're sort of self-hypnotizing themselves based on the suggestions you give to convince themselves to make the decision to buy. If it's a really, really good sale, and that way you have no buyer's remorse, and you get even better, you get referrals. What would you say to that?
I would say that when you teach hypnotic selling, and you're a master of it as well, you're using semantics and linguistics. It's not necessary to drop them into something, or even hypnoidal. You're basically using hypnotic language, which is what hypnosis is. It's the art of suggestion. So it's almost like taking and just using the top 20%. You're just using that in terms of how you frame your sentences, how you elicit emotions, how you anchor them. And, the first thing they're buying into is you. So you can have them buy into you and stop right there, because you maybe want to take them out on a date or something. Or you might have something.
No, I would never do that. You might
have something that you subsequently want to sell them, but it's all based on language, and you're 100%. I had a woman ask me the other night downtown, I live, downtown, and she goes, is it manipulative? I go, could be, if you want to use that definition. But if I manipulate you to run out of a burning building, then that's probably possible.
I want to ask you one more thing. The people you work with and the people I've worked with in the past, because it's an open secret that I'm also Ross Jeffries, the get laid guy. And people tune out, or I get complaints. I don't care. I think that so many people walk around in a trance anyway. There's no such thing as not being in a trance. You're either in a trance that serves you, or you're in a pathological trance that doesn't. So I wonder how much of what we do, or what you do, is really awakening people from the trances that bind them.
All of it. Almost all of it. You know what a pattern interrupt is, of course.
Yes.
Well, I have fun with one. I've been doing this one for 15 years. And so, one of the trances people are in is generic responses to a greeting. So somebody will say, how are you today? I live in a high rise with people in the elevator all the time. So how are you today? Fine. How are you? How are you today? Doing good. How's it going? Pretty good. It's the same thing. They're just going through this conditioned response, like a handshake or anything else. So what I did is I have a tonality change and a statement they've never heard before. I mean, you can't get near me and not hear me say this. It's habitual. And so ask me how I'm doing.
How are you doing, Jim?
My life is perfect. That's all I say. So now I just say, I change the tone. I go, my life is perfect. Is that odd?
Oh, yeah.
It's odd, but it's extremely positive. It's extremely optimistic. And without fail, they always say, oh, man, that must be cool. Now where have they gone? Into an emotional state. It could be laughter.
Yes.
In this case, it's happiness. Now when they see me again, They like me because I'm a positive person. They've never heard somebody say my life is perfect. Most people, same old shit, another day, another dollar.
Yeah.
But it actually functions in multiple ways, because if I want them to refer somebody or come to my event or whatever, they're going to do it because they met somebody that, they'll say something like, and we joke around a lot. We've been friends for years. So they'll say something like, wow, that must be nice. Go, yeah, you're looking at the pinnacle of human perfection. You're either going to be very excited or very disappointed, but here it is. So the more you're like integrate humor, the more it breaks that pattern of monotony in their life.
Yes.
They like you.
Yes, it's I don't want to go into it here. It's also very useful for pickup. But Jim, thank you. You've been a wonderful.
I used it. I picked up a salad the other day, and I used it. It worked great.
That's not what I'm talking about. Although it's useful for tossing salads, like not going there. You're a bad influence on me, Jim. Actually, you're a great influence. How can the audience stay in touch with you, and what do you have for us today? How can they stay in the conversation? Because if they're smart, and I know you will find yourself really desiring to stay in touch with Jim, the more you watch this show and listen to my voice, the more you'll recognize that's happening. So, Jim, how can they stay in the conversation with you?
Shit, I just wanted to meet myself there for a second. I realized that
Sorry about this.
I'm looking at myself. No, so one of the ways you can do it is you can just email me. I'm going to give you an email that all the people from all over the world and stuff don't go to. Just do Mind Power Pro, just like it sounds, MINDPOWEO or ERPRO, Mind Power Pro at yahoo.com. That's like kind of a more private email. So mindpowerpro at yahoo.com. Get a hold, of this gentleman, and he's more than happy to connect us as well. And if you know what I'm going to do is I'll send you a PDF copy of my book. So just reach out.
What's the title of your book?
Life Masterpiece.
Wow. I love it.
I said that, because I'm in appreciation of being on your show. I mean, the show has the right intent. It has the right content. You're no slouch in what you do. And, I don't really, I just want people, I don't care what they do. There's always the up and coming people, and I'll help them out any way I can. But it's a real honor to be on to where I can learn from you. I mean, I've known who you are before I knew who you are. And so it's, come on, man, we don't all have movies made about us. So
that's true. It's true. Played by Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Reach out to me, and you can refer them over. I'll reciprocate and do the same for you, of course.
So thank you, Jim. Stay on the line with me just for a minute. I know you're in a hurry, and you've been so generous donating your time, which rolls out a lot. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Influencer's Edge. I'm trying out something new, which is putting up a QR code for my new book, The Subconscious Sales Advantage. If you want to download it for free, just scan that QR code. I'm just testing it out to see how it works. Thanks, Jim. Stay on the line with me, and we'll see you next time.
The Influencer's Edge is brought to you by the Rapid Sales Accelerator. If you're ready to skyrocket your sales by 30% or more in just 90 days, then you need to claim your free training right now. You'll learn 4 words that will compel your prospects to trust you like they were children within the first 3 to 5 minutes of any conversation across any platform and any medium. You'll learn how to give your prospects objection amnesia, to crush objections like, I need to talk to my spouse, or I need more time to think it over, or it's too expensive. And finally, you'll get a free recorded audio training that will install unbelievable attitudes for success and wipe out any limiting beliefs. So, if you'd like to claim your free training now, go to www.paulrossbook.com. Do it before your competition does it now. Thank you for tuning in to The Influencer's Edge, where you get the latest breakthroughs, cutting-edge insights, tools, and techniques so you can leapfrog over the pack in sales, influence, and persuasion. Remember to visit our website at www.theinfluencersedge.com to enjoy even more great episodes like this one. We look forward to seeing you again on the Influencer's Edge Show.